tuned into Masters of the Genre, where I, Cardinal Sin, take you right to the source of the most important genre creators of their generation. Authors, actors, directors, science fiction, fantasy, comics, film, and other creators that shape our genre fiction and entertainment. Get ready to leave the world of the everyday behind and go head-to-head with the masters of the genre. Greetings, followers. It is I, Cardinal Sin. And today we have a very special Masters of the Genre for you with Mr. Gary Ambrosia. You know him as one of our very own, arguably the most obnoxious toxic male of the panel on Pop Culture Breakdown with Dr. Van Doomcock, but he's been seen on both the small and the big screen as an actor, director, set designer, props master, collector, and his knowledge and expertise of the movie industry is surmounted only by his ego. Welcome, Gary Ambrosia, to Masters of the Genre.
Hail, Cardinal Sin and chat. How are you guys?
Hail. Good to see you, my friend.
You too.
So one thing I thought we would get out of the way, kind of just at the very beginning, is that I need to share my screen and talk a little bit about the bunnytrailrescue.com. What can you tell us about that?
Well, this is my lovely lady wife's rabbit rescue. She started it in 2021 at the mouth of Carmel Valley in California. She's the only rabbit rescue in the area. She has a love and a passion for the little critters. And she started this whole thing by herself. I totally support her, and I ask that everybody go by and check it out, see what she has to offer, see what she's up to, and hey, if you could throw her a little donation, that would be magnificent, because the little critters definitely need it.
Absolutely.
That's it. TheBunnyTrailRescue.com.
Yep. And we have the link in the chat. I happen to be a very big fan of bunnies myself. When I was married, I had house rabbits, and I missed them more than the wife. So, let's kind of jump right in. And while people are rolling in, why don't you tell us about Project 12?
Well, Project 12 is a movie that I wrote and directed. Well, I directed and wrote along with a guy named Thomas Reardon. Is another writer and producer. Friend of mine, and he also starred in the film, and we won the Roswell International Film Festival in 2012 for Best Picture. That festival was run by Famous Monsters of Filmland, which was really cool. That was a neat festival to win. I was really proud of that. Really proud of all my good buddies that worked on the film. So yeah, that's Project 12, and that's about as far as I can go with that one. So
cool.
Yeah.
It sounds like my kind of thing.
Oh, it definitely is. Yeah.
You've been on YouTube a long time. Let's talk about Gary's Home Movies.
Yeah. Yeah. These are just kind of goofy little action figure movies I made when I was about 10 or 11 years old. And one night, I can't remember, I might have had insomnia or something like that, but I was going through some old 8mm tapes, and I found them. I was like, hey, I'll just put that stuff up on YouTube. Maybe I can send it to my mom or something, and she'll get a kick out of it. But yeah, that's just basically it. When I was a little kid, I confiscated my dad's camcorder, and I had a lot of friends, but none of them knew how to act, or at least do what I wanted, so I could make the action figures. They were a lot more receptive to my direction than my buddies were up the street, so I made some action figures, and then I made some action figure movies and stuff. And then, of course, I went into the garage and discovered pyrotechnics and, stuff like that. And yeah, I started getting into trouble. And yeah, here I am, lighting off firecrackers on everybody's birthday. So
yeah,
It
I
never
really
changes.
liked the James Bond one. That was my favorite.
Yeah, it's fun, you know. That was particularly hard because I'm holding the camera and driving the RC car at the same time.
Hmm.
Well, that's a difficult task.
I
But
really liked that. That was a
yeah,
lot of fun.
I'm glad you like it.
So let's go back to the beginning. Tell us how you got involved in acting and how things went from there.
Let's see. Well, I joined the Beverly Hills Playhouse in, I think it was 1999, 2000, somewhere around there, in Hollywood, West Hollywood, California, and I studied there for about 12 years with a journeyman actor by the name of Alan Williams. He was on, 100 shows. He directed a lot of the. Not only was he on the series Lou Grant, which is the spinoff from
Mary Tyler
Mary
Moore.
Tyler Moore, but he directed a whole bunch of the episodes as well.
Oh,
He's
cool.
he was a brilliant actor. He played several bad guys on Knight Rider. Every time I was
Oh,
watching
I've probably
TV,
seen him then. I watched
oh
a ton
yeah,
of Knight Rider when I was a kid.
he's definitely one of those character actors that popped up in so many things, and he had so much experience in the acting industry back in the 70s, 80s, and I was fortunate enough for him to take me under his wing, and he taught me everything, which was great. I was actually gonna join the Marine Corps, and he talked me out of it because he said,
Oh,
Gary,
phew.
I'm a veteran of the Vietnam War, and I've survived 5 helicopter crashes. You're not
Wow.
going to join the Marines. You're going to come with me. So he taught me everything. And
That's awesome.
yeah, he was great. The Beverly Hills Playhouse was a pretty hot shit school back in the day. I mean, the Saturday class was like a who's who of acting. You could walk in at any point, and Patrick Swayze was there. Jenna Elfman at the time was doing Dharma and Greg, and Giovanni Ribisi. These people, huge, big time actors. One time I was there, and Neil Simon was there. They were doing
Hmm.
something, working out a piece for his new play or something. I don't know, but the big turnoff with the school was it was kind of a recruiting ground for Scientology. So I wasn't super into that. I didn't give a shit about that. I just wanted to act. And the nice thing was neither did Alan. Alan didn't give a shit about that. He was just like, he was all about acting and teaching. And I was super, super grateful to have learned so much from such a great man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so, kind of dipping into your acting career, I know that you hired on for Disney with Pirates of the Caribbean 2. What was it like working for the House of Mouse?
Well, the work was fun because the crew were nice people. Which was at that time it wasn't really, I wasn't used to that experience because everything before that it was pretty bad. But these people were cool, and I think they were kind of like independent hires. I think it was like a local prop makers union or a local stage set designers union or something like that. But these guys were great people. I was only about, what was that, 2003 or something like that. So I was 23 years old, and fortunately, my father had taught me everything about how to be a carpenter. My father ran a construction business for a very long time, and he's very successful. And he taught me everything. He taught me how to build. He taught me how to create, and it really paid off because I'm this 23-year-old kid, and I'm doing all this beautiful detail work on the pirate ships and stuff, and I worked on several sets, and I was. I think I'd only been there for a couple of years, so I was very, very grateful for the experience up until it came time for the mouse to pay me.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I don't get a paycheck, and I'm wondering why, and I go to track down the production office, and they're closed up.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I was pretty pissed, but I found
Now,
out
was that
later
your first paycheck or?
that would have been my first paycheck,
Oh,
but
man.
my first paycheck from Disney. I had worked before that, but
Yeah.
it was pretty common practice apparently for the mouse to do that to new, young, excited people who are willing to work, for pennies.
Or on spec, as it turned out with you.
Pretty much, yeah. So the experience was great. I mean, I spent a lot of time with a lot of great old school movie craftsmen and prop makers and set makers. That was the greatest thing really was learning all that stuff from these guys who had worked on the Munsters and worked on these films from the 60s and the 70s. They were teaching me all this old school type tricks that were kind of on their way out, because
Right.
everybody was doing everything with computers at the time, and that was kind of phasing everybody out. But I still got to learn sort of from the last of the great craftsmen. So that was really exciting. But
That's
Disney,
very
no,
cool.
Disney's the same bastard they've always been, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
New boss, same as the old boss,
you
right?
got it.
So when you hired on at NBC Universal, how was that like being in jail?
Well, I've never actually been to jail, so I'm only comparing what I've heard.
Uh huh.
But it was, uh, Gil, it was horrible. Okay, it was the first show I got hired onto was the Ellen DeGeneres show, and the crews were divided up in their own race and ethnic background. No BS. Now, this was not done by the production office. This was done
That's
by the
weird.
guys. Yeah. So basically, it was like being in a jail yard inside the soundstage.
I get you
And
with all the cliques and gangs and yeah.
I got thrown into the Hispanic guys, the Latino guys, and they were not having it. It was, that's right, Cracker Boy, monkey see, monkey do. They were barking at me and stuff, and I'm like, I'm just here to build, guys. So finally, they kicked me out, and I had to go hang out with the white guys, and they're like, "Don't worry, come and hang out with us." I'm like, "This is ridiculous. This was obnoxious." So I was fortunate to be. I had some experience in welding at the time, and there was an opening in the welding shop, and that was a huge promotion. Instead of being a normal carpenter, you could get promoted to a welder. So I talked with the shop people, and they said, "Okay, you can go over to the welding shop." And they took me in. They were the head of the shop was a really super nice guy. He's this big giant. I mean, he's like 7 foot tall. His hands looked like they had been run over by a Mack truck. They were just, I mean, you could tell he'd just been doing nothing but building his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
His face actually looked like he had been run over by a Mack truck as well. But he was a kind, sweet, very nice guy. And yeah, again, I was as bad as the situations were. I was always fortunate enough to have a guy that was kind of there to just be like, "Don't worry about it, kid. I'll come hang out with us." It's always lucky in that sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, tell us about your experience with Legally Blonde.
So I was fired. That was my first job. It was my first job acting, and I was fired. So I was playing some smart ass, smarmy Harvard kid, and my agent at the time was really excited, and they're like, "Look, just don't screw this up." All right, no problem. I won't screw it up. And I'm supposed to be. I was arguing with the girl who's playing my girlfriend, and then Reese Witherspoon comes up, asks me where a room is, and I'm supposed to be all falling all over her and tell her where the room is, and then my girlfriend's like supposed to smack me for talking to her or some BS, right?
Right.
So I think there was about 400 or 500 background people there too, and uh, I remember I think Reese Witherspoon had just had her first baby, so the baby dad's coming over and dropping the baby off during a break, and a bunch of these extras just started making really nasty comments to her, like telling her straight out, "You look like a whore," and uh, I was like, "Really? You guys, she's got 600 people around acting, and you're going to talk that way?" So they started yelling and screaming at me, and then all of a sudden it became an escalated fight. The assistant director came over and said, "What the hell is going on here?" And I tried to explain it, and they said, "All right, you, and you," pointing at me, "You're fired.
Out.
Get out." And I was like, "What did I do?" I was devastated. So my
Yeah.
agent said, "Nope, you're done," right? And just he fired me. And I was like, "Geez, what am I?" I thought that was it, man. I'm done. And I called Alan, my teacher. I said, "Alan," he's like, "How'd it go? How'd it go? How was the role?" I said, "Alan, I got fired." He's like, "What happened?" I said, "He got into a fight." He's like, "Well, did you start it?" "No." "Then don't worry about it. You've joined the club now. Welcome to the club. We all get fired. Just go on to the next thing, baby." That helped.
And so when you said you were fired, were you also fired from your agent?
Oh yeah, they were like, they didn't want anything to do with me.
Wow.
So it's all right.
That's
I got another
crazy.
one.
So, Malcolm in the Middle How was that like being in an extended family? And by the way, I watched Malcolm in the Middle religiously.
That okay, so that was one of the first shows that um, uh, that I think sort of established their own crew, and the crew stayed on, and it was always the same crew throughout all the seasons. And I know there's a big turnaround in Hollywood, and there's, sometimes you're on a show and the crews get shifted around, or somebody goes over to somewhere else, and you get new people constantly coming in. This was a crew that had, from my understanding, had been together the whole time. And I can't remember what season I came into, but I just played some. I was in some. I never watched the show, but it was some military school where the older brother was a member of that academy or something, and being there, these people were all like family. They all knew each other, the crew, the cast. They hung out. I mean, they had their arms around each other during the breaks. They were laughing and playing. I was not used to anything like that. Who's the little kid with the big ears? I don't remember his name, but
I don't either.
I guess I don't think he's not from the United States. I don't think.
Oh,
I think
really? Is he Canadian?
I want to say he's Danish or something, because his grandmother was there, and they
Oh.
were just playing with a ball in the yard. And I remember thinking, wow, this is very much like a family. And it was totally the opposite, because that was the second job after Legally Blonde that I had. So it was totally the opposite, where I was being pushed around and fired and, told to get the hell out. And then these people were kind of like, hey, how you doing? We haven't seen you
More
yet
welcoming.
here. Yeah, they were super cool. The guy from Breaking Bad was the dad, and he was super nice. They were all really great people. So that was a interesting, that was a different experience that I'd had, the year before. So
I have to say, for people that are our age, Malcolm in the Middle, and the way that show ended was so cool when they did that with Breaking Bad, and he ends up, the alternate ending of Breaking Bad is that Mr. White wakes up in the bed with Jane Krasinski from Malcolm in the Middle, which is a reference to the Bob Newhart show, how it ended with Suzanne Plachette. He woke up with Suzanne Plachette, like from the old Newhart show.
Wow.
So it was like a copy of that. And
I've never seen either of those shows, Malcolm in the Middle or Breaking Bad.
Oh,
so
man.
I don't know, but
Great stuff.
Yeah, I'll check them out one day maybe. But it was just really super sweet people.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
So, tell us about working with Kevin and Bill making creature effects.
Okay, so that was about the time when I really wanted to start doing my own movies and making my own stuff, because I was kind of getting sick of doing what everybody else told me. And I ended up contracting a guy named
Munoz. That's his name.
That's the guy from Malcolm in the Middle, right?
Yeah.
The kid, yeah. So I ended up contacting and hiring this creature effects artist by the name of Kevin Brennan, who owns a company called Max Makeup and Effects. And this guy is incredible. The body of work this guy has it's amazing. He was on the original team, the EFX team for American Werewolf in London. In fact, he is the guy in the werewolf suit.
Really?
And he sculpted, I believe he sculpted the Jack puppet, the one where he's fully dead in the movie theater.
That was amazing.
It was it's a great puppet and a really great effect. This guy is brilliant. He specialized in apes and orangutans and stuff like that, and gorillas. That was like his big money maker for the company. But I mean, he did monsters, aliens. He did all kinds of amazing stuff. This guy is incredible.
And he ran his own shop.
He had his own shop. Yeah. He did. Also did that big hairy monster from Big Trouble in Little China. The one that kidnaps Kim Cattrall. Yeah, he did that.
I just watched that a couple weeks ago again.
It's such a great movie.
It is.
Yeah.
The rewatchability on that is very high.
Over and over again. And over again. So I hired him to do some creatures for stuff that I was working on. And then he started, I just started hanging out at the shop. And I was like, hey, what are you up to? Oh, well, we're doing this. And then he would kind of show me things. And then they actually started hiring me to help out with their projects. So, they hired me for an episode of Punk'd and, a couple of little things that they were doing. And I just loved hanging out with these guys. Another guy that worked with Kevin all the time was Bill Fesh. Bill was a special effects and creature effects tech. He worked on I think a couple of the Star Trek movies. He's worked on 1,000 movies.
Mm-hmm.
A whole lot of amazing films. I think the Tales from the Crypt movie, he was telling me stories about that. These guys had amazing stories, and they're great artists. They really were super cool guys. But that's when I started getting into effects and kind of, I really loved monsters. And I really loved creatures, and I just sit and talk to Kevin about all these great stories he would tell me about Rob Bottin, and he worked on The Thing. And again, learning from these guys, these kind of old school guys that worked on these incredible films of the 70s and 80s, it's totally invaluable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what made you decide to go into production on your own projects?
Well, like I was saying earlier, when I was a little kid, I always wanted to make my own movies. And the problem was I really didn't know much about how to make a movie, except for just picking up a camera. You just start doing things, and then you kind of learn from the errors that you make and the mistakes that you make. The problem is when you're going to make your own movie, the mistakes that you make they get really expensive. You can spend $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a day on an independent project, and although you learn the best from your mistakes, it's not so great for your budget or your wallet. So
right.
I sort of, that's why I started studying acting, just started hanging out with creature guys, started hanging out with set guys, and just learn how to really get into the fabrication and the making of a real movie. So it was after I was in acting class for about a year or so, and I did a little bit of production work, that I moved back to Monterey to make my own movie. I think I was 21 or 22 years old or something like that. And I came back here in Monterey for about a year, and I made my own film, and it was sort of an experiment. I had to learn on something. I worked for a year and a half to raise the money to do it, and I didn't have much money at all, but what I had, I put on the screen, and I spent about a year making the film, and it taught me a lot. It taught me a whole lot.
Yeah, nothing like learning from your own mistakes, right?
Yeah, nothing.
So when did you decide to start collecting props?
So that was after when I was hanging out with Bill and Kevin. Bill started showing me how to create silicone molds for props and how to cast multiple items out of, if you needed, like, let's say, for instance, I needed a stormtrooper blaster or something. Mm-hmm. Well, he taught me how to make a mold of something and then just go ahead and replicate 20, 30, 40 of those things that I could do entirely myself. And I thought that was super fascinating. And as I was working on different movies and different jobs, we would go to prop houses and set deck houses, and I'd see famous things on the shelf. Hey, look, there's the chopper from Airwolf. Hey, there's, this or that. And you could rent all of this stuff. And I'm like, really? And then I was like, we could rent this stuff and make a mold of it, and then I'd have my own. So that kind of got to be this devious thing where we would go find these famous props and rent them from a prop house. They're sitting there collecting dust, or, they're broken or just, left to decay. And, you rent it, you make a mold of the thing. And then the real shadiness came in when it I started looking at the prop and I look at the casting I made, and you can't tell the difference. And I'm like, well, should I return the casting? Should I keep the original? What should I do? So I may or may not have done that a few times.
May or may not.
Right.
Actually, I have my box right here. This is I contributed an undisclosed sum to the Bunny Trail Rabbit Rescue, and I just kind of wanted to share some of these. This is an actual coin that was used on screen in Pirates of the Caribbean 1, 2, and 3. What can you tell me about that?
Well, what I did not receive in payment from Disney, I received a Home Depot bucket full of props from the art department guys who knew that I had gotten stiffed. So yeah, that's where that came from. And there's a reason why there's not very much treasure in the third, fourth, and fifth movies, because I have it all.
I see.
Yeah.
And we also have the Never-Ending Story Aaron.
I can't remember where I got that, but somebody had auctioned off one of the two original books on maybe it was the prop auction sites in Prop House of London or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody had molded that thing from the book. And I remember seeing it and I said, I want that. And I grabbed it. I snagged it up. Sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time, Gil, and you just kind of you get the thing that no one knows what it is, or they think it's a replica or something, and you know better. You're like, dude, no, that is the thing.
Right.
And that was definitely it. So I was, again, very lucky to get that.
This is one of my favorites. Can you tell me what that is?
That is a casting of Mad Max's badge.
How cool is that?
Now, again, there's a lot of reproductions out there. That is not a reproduction. That is a casting of the actual badge.
Right.
I think I may have got that from Kevin, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly, but Kevin had amazing stuff in his shop.
I'm totally geeked out over this stuff.
Oh yeah, back to Kevin's shop. At one point there was a life casting of a little person in his shop, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. Who's that? It was a life casting of Felix Silla, the actor who had played, what's the little robot on Buck Rogers?
Oh, Tweaky?
Yeah, Tweaky. He was Cousin It on the Addams Family. He was in 1,000 shows and 100 movies, and Kevin would always do all of the castings for all of his suits. They worked together all the time. I thought that was pretty neat.
And then here we have the Conan the Barbarian Thulsa Doom medallion.
Yeah. Again, I got lucky with that one.
Is this an original? Or
that is, well, it's a casting of the original. Yeah. But yeah, those were castings of a screen-used Doom medallion, Thulsa Doom.
This is my favorite treasure that I got from you.
That's a good one. It's interesting, Gil. I ended up, sometimes I get a box of silicone molds, and some art department guy's like, I don't want these anymore. And I go through the box, and there's an old decaying silicone mold of some famous thing. Well, that's what I ended up. I got the casting of the mold for the stunt Necronomicon from Evil Dead 2, and that was that thing is the mold's pretty much decaying, but I got that directly out of that mold.
Well, I can't tell you how happy I was to find that in my little bag of.
That's why I put it on the bottom. I figured that would be your favorite piece.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And another cool thing that you sent me was a real Wonka bar with golden ticket.
Well, actually, Gil, the golden ticket's inside the bar. I don't know if you opened that yet.
No, I haven't.
If you're careful and you can slide the cover off of the bar, there is a full-size printed golden ticket in there.
Really?
Yeah. The little golden, there it is on the other side. The little golden tickets. I also sent you, I had some, those little mini Hershey bars?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I sent you some labels. You can actually turn the mini Hershey bars into a mini Wonka bar. And those the golden tickets in the bag there, you can slide those in the little mini Hershey bar, and you can give them to your buddies.
So those are like little stickers?
Yeah, they're just little, fun things.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
You never told me that was in there, and I never thought to look.
Right.
That's very cool. Let's see, what else? This looks familiar.
Yeah. A lot of searching for that one. Somebody had scanned the original photo, and I ended up getting it. I don't remember where.
That's the Sarah Connor photo from the first Terminator movie.
Yep.
And of course, one of my favorites, I know it's one of Auntie Derivative Jill's favorites. Gold pressed latinum.
There it is.
How did you come by that?
I don't remember, Gil. Again, it was I think it was a box of silicone molds that an art department guy just gave me. And I mean, I got some pretty neat original Star Trek molds in there, some of which are deteriorated, but thank God I have some restorations and some castings of them.
Now, this is from the movie The Goonies.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of the map doubloon. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's like one of those things that the kids hold up and, you know, it lines up the little mountain and the restaurant and all that on the map. I'm a huge Goonies nut.
No, me too. I love The Goonies.
Big time
Great
Goonies
movie.
nut. Yeah.
That's also got heavy rewatchability.
Oh, yeah.
We have Spaceballs, the belt buckle.
Yep, there it is. Scroob the people.
If they only knew the power of the Schwartz. And then here we have Pirates of the Caribbean Aztec Crest Tile 1 of 3.
Yeah, that's from the giant Aztec chest from the first movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Now, I have a question. I'm kind of confused about this one. What is this?
Oh, it's a reproduction license plate from Christine.
Oh, cool, man.
And I taped the keychain on the back of it too.
Cool. So I can just drive away with it.
Exactly. And the registration's on the back. That was just for fun, you know. Nothing.
Yeah.
That wasn't original. I had it in there. I figured I'd throw it in there.
Let's see here. We have some other coins. The Grinch. Coin from the Grinch.
Yeah, Humolian.
Humolian, yeah. And I think I put no, maybe you did this. You have chosen wisely, yes.
Oh, that's the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade little challenge coin.
Yeah.
Again, some of the stuff I just kind of threw in there as just some goodies, you know. Just some nerd type stuff. Nothing
I love it.
Nothing of too much value, but, you know, they're just fun.
What I really want is like a Blade Runner blaster. But there are not too many of those around. And so, okay, we already looked at that. And this is another Aztec crest from Pirates.
Mm-hmm. There were only 3 tiles on that chest.
I guess
They
I
made
got
the
all
whole
3.
thing up and you have all 3 of them. Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
There's
You can make your own chest now. See?
Yeah, I'm going to have to. Very cool. Well, let's put some of this stuff away. And you provided me earlier, like I'm pulling it out of the oven, right? You sent me some photos. And I thought we might go through them and you could kind of talk us through
Sure, yeah.
what's going on. Let's see. Just a few people in the chat here. That's funny. Hail Tim's Talk. Even if they aren't valuable, they're really cool. Well, I think they're very valuable. Let's go ahead and share the screen. And why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, the ugly gentleman in the photo is me, and the other guy is Corey Feldman. This was a movie that I directed back in 2009. Yeah, there's Corey himself right there. He had a lot of very interesting makeup on. It was almost like putting the makeup on for a Klingon. He was borderline unrecognizable. I
Mm-hmm.
always remember somebody on set said, "Is that really him?" I said, "Well, yeah, of course it is." He said, "Man, he just really he aged very horribly." I said, "You can thank the makeup people for that. I'm sure they would appreciate that compliment."
And what
Uh,
film was this on?
this is called The Adventures of Belvis Bash, which is a
Uh-huh.
movie that I directed, which I did not get credit for, but I nonetheless did direct.
What?
Yeah, we won't go into that. I like to stay with the positive stuff. It's been
Okay.
an interesting journey, Gil. It has not been always a pleasant journey. So
Right.
we'll stick with the positive stuff. But still, Corey was a very, very talented guy. He wrote his own stand-up for this movie. He
Oh,
worked hard
wow.
for this movie. He demanded the makeup. He said, I want to do this, and just some crazy makeup. I don't really want people to recognize who I am. I said, okay, that's fine. And then he really rode that role in, man. He wrote his own stand up, and he was great. He was pleasant to work with. And I wish he worked more. I think we needed a few more movies with him in it, especially a sequel to Goonies. But super
Yeah,
cool
and
guy.
maybe a proper sequel to The Lost Boys, but
Yes.
um when I first looked at this picture, it looked like Sean Penn to me,
Yeah.
and some people in the chat are saying it looks like Geddy Lee. So let's go ahead and let's see here. Let's talk about this one.
This is the same movie. That's Daniel Baldwin. One of the notorious Baldwin brothers.
Minor Baldwins.
Right. Hey, well, hey, he's this guy's very, very, very talented.
Right.
I enjoyed working with this guy, and my father was a big fan of his. We used to watch Homicide all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But very funny. Definitely, probably the funniest of all of the Baldwins, I'd have to say. And Alec was pretty funny on 30 Rock, but this guy, very funny. I liked working with him a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
And tell us about this.
Well, this was the very first day I was taking Universal Studios, and this was taken. This is significant to me because this is the day that I decided I wanted to make movies. And sure enough, as you're waiting to get into Universal Studios, excuse me, there on display was the actual time machine from Back to the Future, and I had just seen the movie, and my older sister was a huge fan of Michael J. Fox because she was in love with him. He was Family Ties was a big deal at the time.
Oh yeah.
But we went and saw this movie, and I showed her this photo, and she damn near died with jealousy. It was just this was just the coolest thing ever. Just seeing this car it was like a spaceship on wheels. It was amazing
Right.
to me. I'm just so
you
happy.
can see all the lighting and stuff around the tires
Oh yeah.
and the body of the car.
Yeah. That was a magical day.
Yeah, I bet.
Yep.
How about this?
That was
What's
I
going on
probably
here?
I think I was telling one of the crew members that if he doesn't stop pissing me off, I was going to whack him or something. I don't know. But I was really, when you're working, when you're directing, it's, sometimes you're on for 14, 15 hours straight
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get any sleep. And, you could tell I didn't really do much with my hair, and I'm kind of just trying to make it through. But,
Right.
yep.
And how about this one? You're still wearing your Captain America t-shirt.
Yeah,
there.
that was my favorite shirt. I don't know why. Captain America was all right, but to me, but just I loved that shirt, man. My agent wanted a picture of me with the camera. It's like sometimes they're like your mom. They're like, "Show me a picture with you in the camera." So I gave him this one.
But Jill says, "Aw."
Yeah, I know. Look how young I am. Look how happy I was. Well,
Yeah.
not really necessarily happy, but
Just looking happy for the photo.
right, exactly. Okay, so this is
Here
interesting.
you're like Lawrence of Arabia.
I know, right? So this is real interesting. So this day, we showed up in the middle of Mojave Desert, and it was about 6:00 in the morning. We're going to start to shoot, and the conditions were so bad that the crew threatened to me. They said, if we don't get what we want, if we don't have help here, we're going to leave. And I'm like, man, this is really going bad. I gotta stand up. I gotta do something. I gotta help these folks out because they're busting their asses. They're not getting what they deserve. I think the food was not great or something was going on. So they were all a bunch of the people just didn't show up. And we needed this scene where these armed terrorists were driving a stolen UN van, and the guy just decided he didn't want to show up. So I said, you know what, screw this, dress me up, I'm going to drive this van. And I sat with the actors in the van, and we drove down this massively super steep hill, the one behind us. I hauled ass down in this massive van, and we all thought we were going to die, but it was pretty hysterical because the shot turned out, it's very funny. It was just, I don't know if you remember that shot from The Spy Who Loved Me when they're trekking across the desert and the van's kind of teetering along like a cartoon van. That's exactly what it looked like. It felt like we were all going to die, but it looked like just this hysterical, funny cartoon moment. That's the story behind that photo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about this photo.
So in this one, I was playing this kind of Ziggy Stardust type of, glam rock star in the movie. It was just this little bit part that they stuck me in. And I just thought it was interesting because I had a bunch of eye makeup and lipstick on. And I thought,
you kind of look like maybe you're playing the Vampire Lestat or something.
Right. Well, what was funny is the outfit, which I picked out. I said the top, I want to look like James Bond from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is basically Austin Powers. But from the waist down, I think I had like fishnet stockings and some army boots on or something like that. It was definitely a wild night, and a lot of people got a lot of funny, pictures. And
it sounds kind of Rocky Horror.
It was super Rocky Horror. I got a lot of grabs. People were grabbing my ass all day long. It was hysterical. But yeah, that's the story behind that photo.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And what's this truck?
So this is pretty neat. So I lived right around the corner from this truck. It was just parked out. I think I was on my way to get some lunch or something, and I'm driving past and I see this truck. I'm like, no way, man. I pull over and I check this thing out. This is one of the trucks from Steven Spielberg's Duel. Wow. And it was super cool. I was a huge Steven Spielberg fan. And it was just sitting there on the side of the road on, I think it was Magnolia Boulevard or something in Burbank. And I had to get, of course, the classic pose of me running from the truck. But
what was it doing out there on the street?
I have no idea, Gil. It was just there. That's why we went over and said, you know what? We got to get photos. I was with Kevin.
Absolutely.
But yeah, there it was.
It's a good thing that you're always dressed, ready for action.
I know, right? There I am, looking like young Indiana Jones.
Yep. You know what? More than a passing resemblance, now that I think about it.
Yeah, well, I got that a lot.
To Harrison Ford. All right, now this looks like the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, this was on the set of the movie, and it was actually, I think I had some camera equipment being at the storage yard or something, and they had just hauled in all of the police cars and the General Lee and everything, and I was such a huge fan of the Dukes of Hazzard when I was a kid.
I watched it every week.
Oh man, it was so cool watching them jump that car, and I had to climb in the window and get a photo.
Yeah.
That's
very cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
I like that you take chances that way,
Oh yeah, man.
So this is kind of a popular house.
It is, yeah. So I was taking a break. I was, having lunch at Universal, and the nice thing about being on the back lot at Universal is, during the week, there's not a whole lot going on. So you can kind of cruise around every once in a while without people harassing you. But, some of my colleagues and I, we just grabbed our sandwiches from the commissary, and we walked on up to the old Bates Motel, and there it stands, man. That's the original house.
Yep.
From the movie, which had been dismantled and taken apart and reassembled and moved around, but that is it. And it is not in the greatest condition anymore, but that's the actual house from the original 1960 film.
Have you ever seen the Bates Motel, I think it's like the Netflix series?
The show? Yeah, I did watch the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
They
rebuilt
used
the
that
house.
house. Yeah.
Well, they rebuilt it in,
Oh,
I
they
believe they
did.
shot in Canada, yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
they meticulously recreated the home, and
They would have had to.
it really
Yeah.
looked fantastic.
It looked exactly the same, except for like brand new.
Yes.
It was a
Yes.
great show. I think I missed the last season of that. I'm gonna have to catch
Oh,
up
you
on
have
that
to, if
someday.
you like the show, you got to check it out. It's very
Definitely.
good. I'm a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
me
so
too.
this is a set that I worked on Pirates of the Caribbean Part 2, I believe. I
Hmm.
think this was the set of Davy Jones' locker. But the I had done some of the foam running on those barnacle things. They're just made out of like foam and injection foam and hand carved and stuff like that. And a lot of the woodwork detail and all that stuff. That was just kind of some of the things that I was doing on that particular set. That's at Disney
Um,
Studios.
Ari says, "Have you seen the trailer for Tom Wopat's new project?"
No, I haven't. What is
I,
that?
I don't know. He just asked, so I thought I'd ask.
Haven't seen it. No.
Be looking for that. And so here
So
we have what?
this I was really proud of, and especially my dad was really proud of this photo too, because I was telling you earlier, my father taught me everything about being a carpenter, and I was one of the crew members that did some of the detail work on this ship. And I sent my dad this photo, and he was just so proud, like, wow, this is my son building, an old pirate ship on Pirates of the Caribbean, and there he is applying all of his knowledge, and that was really neat. That was a particularly very hard set to build, because I don't know if you notice, the entire thing is curved.
Yeah.
The whole thing is curved. That's not just the lens. So there isn't really a straight line. All of the trim is at some kind of slight arc.
Right.
So you can't really, you can't
The
rely
only
on
thing that's flat is the floor.
it. Really wasn't, though. It was kind
Oh,
of,
really?
well, like a deck of a ship, if there's water and you have a flat spot, there's
Mm-hmm.
nowhere for it to roll. So the whole
Right.
thing has to be kind of, curved shape. So
Sure.
this was meticulous, but I was very proud of the work that I did on this.
I bet. That looks
Yeah.
great. Very nice.
You can tell I'm very proud in the photo.
Of course.
So this is interesting. I don't know if you guys recognize this house, but this is Marty McFly's house from Back to the
Sure.
Future. And I can't remember. A friend of mine said, "Hey, we're gonna go check out some movie locations," and this was one of them. And I, of course, I did the pose in front of the house. But
Yeah.
there it is. It's got the power poles are actually right behind the house, which
Mhm.
I'm told was the reason why they chose the home for the
Mm.
movie, because it was kind of significant of how the 1.21 gigawatts would return Marty to his proper home. I thought that was
Right.
kind of an interesting point, and that's also how you can identify the house. That and the
Right.
address, of course, but
Yeah.
very
That's
very
a very cool one.
very distinct. Yeah. Yep. Now that is Mark Metcalf,
Mhm.
otherwise known as Niedermeyer from Animal House and the Twisted Sister videos.
Huh.
Was also he was also on Seinfeld. Very interesting guy. He
Character actor?
Oh yeah, pretty much is the character of Niedermeyer.
Mhm.
Pretty much is that guy, and that's all I will say about that.
Okay. Moving right along.
Yeah. Okay, this guy. I love this guy. I don't know if you recognize this guy, but this is
He's familiar looking.
this is the soup Yahtzee from Seinfeld,
Ah,
Larry
yeah.
Thomas, and we met in acting class.
No soup for you.
We met in acting class at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, and we had this. This is an interesting story about Larry. We had this thing where if you were in acting class and you were not booking work, they would put you on something called terrorist theater, which means that if you don't book a job in 2 weeks, you are kicked out of the school.
Oh wow.
No BS. And 9 times out of 10, the actor books a job because basically their philosophy was, look, it's your own bullshit that stops you from getting work.
Sure.
So Larry was not working. He was really struggling to find a job, and they put him on terrorist theater. So sure enough, he booked this job on Seinfeld, and he became one of the most popular, if not the most popular character that's not part of the main cast on the series.
Right. Certainly one of the
And
most memorable.
oh yeah, and he is really talented actor, and he played an Afghani showrunner in Belvis Bash. He was really, really good. I was so
Wow.
impressed by this guy. He's such a great actor and a very good friend. I love
Kind
him
of
very
almost
much.
a Cameron Pashaw type person.
Yeah, this guy was so talented. One of those guys, kind of like John Rhys Davies, that could blend into a role and you wouldn't really know, a little bit of makeup, a little bit of an accent, a little bit of wardrobe, and he's from a
He
different
could play
place.
any ethnicity.
Anybody,
Yeah.
anybody. I mean, he could play an Italian, he could play the soup Nazi, he could play, an Afghani guy. He could. This guy is a major, major talent, and I was
I
very
was,
honored to work with him.
it's funny. I was just saying last night during my unboxing episode that often Jews play Italians and Italians play Jews, and so it's just kind of interesting how people, of different ethnicities can swap out for different ones. Now,
This
even I recognize this
Oh
guy.
yeah. So Gil, I get the sense that you're kind of a WWF guy, right?
Well, if I were into wrestling, I would be. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So not essential. I just thought there was that image of you with, I think your face was over like what's his name? Ric Flair. And I love that picture of you on the SmackDown. That's what it was, the SmackDown. But Iron Sheik, I saw a video of this guy just swearing at people on a phone call, and I thought it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So we called him and we asked him to be in the movie, and just basically to do what he did, because he was so hysterical. We were just in tears. I mean, almost throwing up, laughing so hard at this guy's performance. He is so funny, and I sat and talked to him for quite a long time, just about all kinds of things. And he's a super nice, sweet, kind guy. Back in the 80s when he was the Iron Sheik, he was just this rude, obnoxious. He was one of the bad guys,
Sure.
And of course, people have this, kind of prejudgment about, oh, well, that's how he really is. No, this guy he was a sweetheart. I loved him. He let me hold his championship belt. He was so happy to be working on a movie, and I was just so happy to have him there. This is one of my greatest memories. I was super proud to be holding that belt. And then all my buddies who are major wrestling fans, even bigger than I am, they were just so jealous. I loved shopping this photo around, just teasing them all with it. I absolutely love this guy. I think he passed away, if I'm not mistaken. But
Well, that's too bad.
yeah, he was so much fun, and he knew how to make everybody laugh. He could have been a comedian. He was so funny.
Yeah, he looks like he's really having a good time there.
Oh, he had a blast, man.
And if I may say, a very young Gary Ambrosia.
Well, kind of, yeah. This was what, let's see, 2009. So
Pretty
let's
young.
see. Yeah, younger than I do now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Stress and being married.
Well, I didn't say you looked better when you were younger, just that you looked younger.
Oh, this is great.
All right,
So,
now I know who this is.
so I'm directing Frank Stallone, who had quite a bit of wine before we started shooting. God bless him. He is so much fun. Uh, he's a great singer, and he's a hysterical performer. But we were doing a parody of Les Miserables, and and he went all in, man. Yeah, he's wearing the frills and everything like that, and he had a great time doing this, and I love him. He's also a fellow Shriner, so we got along pretty well. And this is one of my favorite photos. I really love this one.
Yeah, that looks great. Actually,
Yeah.
he kind of looks like you from the other photo, when you had the fishnets on.
Right, minus all the eye makeup.
Yeah.
He's a little more butch than I am, but yeah. Yeah.
And he's a pretty hard-working, B actor, I guess. A lot of people don't know that he really works a lot. My brother has worked with him.
Well, he's primarily a musician, and he's a great musician. In fact, we hired him to do the musical score for the movie and to do some of the live band music that was being played, because it's kind of a pseudo musical, this movie. But yeah, I don't remember what we were doing here. I was just directing him with something, but you can see the gash on my head there. I think a light had fallen on my head or something like that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't remember what
Monkey
happened.
Jeebus says, Gary could be the Rocketeer. What do you think? If you were offered the Rocketeer, would you do it?
Well, of course.
That'd
Yeah,
be pretty awesome, wouldn't it?
depending on the money, of course. You know.
No,
but-
yeah. I mean,
Oh yeah, man. I like
do you
Bill.
have
Was it
a
Bill
kind of
Campbell?
you have kind of an Indiana Jones thing going for you in these photos.
Well, also I will note that I'm wearing a very famous movie prop in these photos, and that is the Indiana Jones jacket,
Yeah.
which had been custom made for me at that time. Okay, so this was again another one of these kind of, it's kind of like we were location hunting on our break, and this is the home from E.T., which is in Agora
Right.
Hills, and we just saw it and we're like, hey, that's the driveway where the kid's backing down and crashes into stuff, and we thought it was all fun and nostalgic. And I will add that right down the street from there, not really that far, is the house from Poltergeist, literally right around the corner.
Wow.
So that was interesting and convenient because they were shooting both movies at the same time, apparently.
Aha. And who's this?
Oh, that's my old buddy Jesse Spencer from you probably recognize him from House, and
He's the
100
Australian
other
guy.
things. Yeah, he's on was it Chicago Fire or one of those EMT type shows, and we were just kind of getting drunk, and he was showing
And he's
off his
actually
new suit.
Australian, right?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
one of the coolest cats I've ever met.
I bet.
Yeah, we partied a little bit, him and I.
He looked like a lot of fun in
Oh.
House.
He's a ton of fun. He's a lot of fun.
These are really fun.
I haven't seen these
pictures.
photos in a long time.
Yeah, thanks
really,
for sharing these. These are great.
Yeah, it was cool to see those again. I haven't looked at those in a while.
So we're getting a lot of input from the chat. Yeah,
I have been able
Dr.
to pay
Wilson
attention.
from House.
Yep, that's him.
Cam asks, Gary, you ever work with my cousin Bruce? Maybe he means Bruce Campbell.
Oh, I met him. Never worked
you
with him.
did?
Boy, that would be great. Oh yeah. That
Was
guy's
he cool?
Oh, he's super cool. He's so cool. He like really is Ash.
Yeah.
You meet him and he's not Bruce Campbell. It's like it's Ash. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow. I'm like, why do you still have your hand though? Put the saw
Yeah.
in your hand.
Where's your
That's just
chainsaw?
special effects and acting, pal.
My brother got his autograph for me on his book, If Chins Could Kill, Confessions of a B-Movie Actor. And he signed it on the inside to Gil, hey, Bruce.
Very cool.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we're just about to get into our second hour here, and this is kind of the meat of the story for me. I'm really curious about if you can tell us how you became one of Doomcock's spies and leaked things to him.
Okay, so I will occasionally maybe stop and think as I describe these things because I kind of have to, the names and faces have to be changed to protect the innocent, as they say.
Sure.
But I have a lot of friends that are currently working on shows, and they play cops and military and stuff like that on TV. You see them all the time. I used to work with them a little bit. I was on Sons of Anarchy with them, and we used to run around and have a lot of fun and just pretend to be cops basically on TV and get paid to do it. Excuse me, but eventually some of my friends ended up on certain shows, like some of the Lucasfilm stuff and some of the Star Trek stuff, and these are pretty close buddies of mine, and they would tell me things about what was going on. And I can't remember the first Doomcock video I watched. I want to, I don't know. It may have been the Ghostbusters 2016 one, and
Oh, that was a great one.
it was. And everybody out there who follows him, or who has kind of followed the rest of the guys in this kind of fandom menace arena, we all kind of had the same reaction, which was, God, these movies are really terrible. And then all of a sudden these people started coming out and talking about how terrible they were, and it sort of gave us it sort of reassured us that we weren't insane, that we weren't the things that they were calling us. And then I was like, well, this is really interesting. And I decided, I think I just subscribed to Doomcock one day, and I figured, these guys do a lot of hard work, and they're talking about a lot of, edgy things, and they're probably getting harassed a lot. I'll throw $3 at them a month or something, just to support. And I ended up getting a one of those announcements like Doomcock's toy chest, and it's like, oh, here's a Rocketeer helmet that I found. And I'm looking at the picture of this Rocketeer helmet, and when I worked at Disney, I was right in front of the real Rocketeer stuff. It's there on the prop shelf.
Wow.
And I know that helmet very well. I know all the welds in the helmet and everything. And I'm looking at the photo, and that's a casting of one of those stunt helmets.
Right.
And I just, I emailed them through Patreon or something. I said, hey man, I just want to let you know, I've been in the Disney prop house, and I've seen that thing. You've got a legitimate casting of a stunt helmet there. And he emailed me back, and he was ecstatic. He's like, oh my God, are you kidding? Really? How do you know? And this, and then we started, emailing back and forth. And I ended up finding an image of the original Rocketeer helmet, which had come from the Forrest J. Ackerman estate, who was the guy who started Famous Monsters of Filmland and used to collect famous movie props and stuff like that. Well, he had one of the original helmets, and it was a detailed close-up photo to where you could see all the welds and all the little, imperfections and dimples. And I sent him the photo so he could confirm that his was the real thing. Sure enough, it was. And he was super excited. And then one day, we were emailing back and forth just kind of nonchalantly. One day, a friend of mine had called me and said, listen, something's going down at Lucasfilm. This is what's happening. And I was like, oh shit, I better let Doom know. So I emailed him. I said, hey, I heard this today. Have you heard anything else? He emailed me instantly. He's like, oh my God, you just confirmed something. I had no idea, but I'm going to do a video about this right now. And, we just started talking about, he asked, would you be okay with, letting me have, some information here or there? Or can I check stuff with you? So sure, no problem. I could probably talk to these guys for a little while and just, find out what the deal is. And sure enough, he made a video based on what I had told him. And then I just started kind of ratting stuff out, to him, about Lucasfilm and Star Trek. And I'm pretty sure I can say that now. This is long before I was part of the Sunday show. But for a while, I was hesitant about being on the Sunday show because I didn't really want to get involved with, some of the drama that he was involved with these people trying to track him down. He constantly gets this apparently, and these people are trying to dox him, and, he's getting attacked all the time. And I certainly didn't want my friends to get in trouble. But at the time the show had come around, my friends are pretty much done on that production. And, hey, there's Forey right there.
There's Forey and a young Cardinal Sin.
Wow. Look at that. Then you get the Metaluna shirt on there.
Yep. And he is signing my Frankenstein laser disc because he contributed material to the laser disc that Universal no longer had.
Wow.
And of course my brother took those photos and took me to the event. It's all his fault.
Did you notice that he always wore Dracula's ring?
No, I didn't know that.
He bought the original Bela Lugosi Dracula's ring, and he wore it to the day he died. And right before he had passed away, Kevin and Bill had done a live cast of his hands, but he kept the ring on his hands. Wow. So when they did the live cast, he pulled his hands out, and they had a perfect casting of that Dracula ring. So
That's
that's how
very
that got
cool.
out, which was very, very interesting. I have a copy of it. But yeah, that's an interesting little tidbit about Forey Ackerman. But I can't remember what I was talking about. Ratting stuff out to Doomcock.
Hmm.
So I just decided, you know, the time is enough. Time has gone by to where I could probably participate in this, and you know, I believe in what he says, and I believe in the movement, and I believe in, you know, the same thing that everybody in the chat and everybody on the rest of these shows believe, which is, you know, we're not stupid, we're not we're not what you say we are, we're right. That's what we are, and you know, we're not going to give up either. And it's a good thing we didn't, because now they're losing. They're losing bad.
Actually, that's something I wanted to ask you about. If I can find my question here. Uh, how much longer do you think the woke culture will continue? Is it waning or is it here to stay?
That's tough, Gil, because um, I don't know about a timeline or anything like that. I would have never.
How does it feel to you?
It feels like they're getting really desperate, and especially now with the example with Obi-Wan, they had an agenda from the beginning before the first episode even dropped. They marched on that agenda, and it didn't work. And the fact that it didn't work, that said a lot. You can't really look at the timeline. You can't really look at, all you can really look at is what's happening and what's the result.
Hmm.
And to me, the result was they're not buying this bullshit anymore.
Right.
They're not buying the narrative, what we're being told. It was clearly a stunt. You know, I love Ewan McGregor. He's a great actor, but you know, he's sitting in his car, and I'm sorry, he's acting. He's acting. He's putting on a little performance there, and that was kind of insulting. You know, that was very agenda driven, and you know, regardless of what they're saying, you know, they said there were hundreds of remarks. There were only 4 that they could come up with, and now you
Hmm.
know, we know that 2 out of those 4 are probably fake.
Right.
So really, they had nothing, and now we all know that the show is clearly not, you know, failing because of racist people. It's failing because it's a garbage show.
Right.
You know, I mean, we're not buying the crap. So that's that's good to me. As far as a timeline, buddy, I don't know. They're gonna go out kicking and screaming. They are not gonna give in. They're gonna double down every time, and the more they double down, the more ridiculous they're gonna look. And the fact that this is not, it's not playing out how they want it to look. It's not playing out how they want it to how they want it to play out. They're not getting the result which which they've targeted. That says something, which
Yeah.
means they're going to get more and more desperate, and the more and more desperate they get, the more it's just going to be super obvious to us, until one day it's just going to be gone. It's going to be gone.
The most interesting thing I found recently was I don't know if it was in Deadline or Variety, but one of the trades, uh, somebody from Disney just came right out and said, "Yeah, it's the same thing as The Last Jedi." You know, and basically, I think what happened is they shot 10 not seasons, episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then after they were done and finished, Kathleen Kennedy came in and got rewrites and reshoots, and then there were only 6 episodes. And then the last thing I heard about the whole thing was that Ewan McGregor was at some, you know, press junket or something, and he said, "Enjoy." I think they played episodes 1 and 2, and he said, "You know, enjoy episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, 8, and 9, and 10." And then he like did a mic drop and walked away.
Wow.
So I think what happened was it started out being 10 episodes, and they just woked it down to 6.
Wow. Well, I know for a fact, and we knew this with Mark Hamill in Last Jedi, which is a really good example of this, is that Disney gets these major actors, no matter how big they are, they still snare these actors into these wacko contracts. where they're sort of forced legally to go along with their agenda. And if they don't, they subject themselves to some kind of litigation where they'll lose their money or they'll lose their contract. And we can see clearly that Mark Hamill did not really want to follow along with that and didn't really realize what the ramifications of what would happen if he was to say something about how The Last Jedi was really going. And he did. And they hit him with that, they reminded him, look, you work for us. Don't you dare say a bad word about this, regardless of how garbage or how shitty it is. You stick with the narrative, and you just better put a smile on your face, because if you don't, pal, we're going to run your ass to the ringer. And that clearly happened. That was the first real sign to me, like, oh my God, they got this guy over a barrel. And I would not be surprised if they didn't do the same thing, Ewan McGregor. And from what you just told me, that little story, I've never heard that story. That sounds like he may have been forced to sit in his car and say something like that. But he's kind of a woke individual anyway, so I don't know. He kind of is. I don't know whether he's just playing along with the narrative or whether he really believes that crap. Either way, it really doesn't matter, because you're just basically a shill anyway. But I mean, they may be actually forcefully held contractually against their will to tell the truth, be like, look, this was a really shitty production. We wanted to go through this, and we were stopped here because the agenda needed to carry in a different direction, and we couldn't do what we wanted, or whatever the story was. They may legally have their hands tied to where they can't say this stuff.
Well, and I mean, like, how much longer can this thing go on? I mean, people are going to stop watching Disney Plus if they keep doing this, pulling the rug out from under us nonsense.
I totally agree. I mean, you see it in all media nowadays. People do not buy bullshit anymore. They're getting hip. They're catching on. They're able to look at something and go, you know what, that's sensationalized, or that's an agenda. They're doing this because of that. I saw the show. I thought it was garbage. I'm sorry that you think that I just hate this woman because of, her ethnic background, but that's not the case at all. She just happens to be a really shitty actress, or untrained, or the direction's wrong, or something's wrong. Something's not working.
People don't know how Star Wars works.
Exactly. Yeah. People don't know how to make a damn Star Wars movie. It really isn't that hard. Just go look at the other ones. It's not that difficult. And, it's not us. The fans aren't the ones that are the problems. It's the people making the garbage, and they love to blame it on us. How the hell do we have anything to do with the crap quality of Star Wars?
Well, thanks, Pablo Hidalgo, right?
Right? Like, what idiot in their right mind believes that we, the consumer, who is just seeing this material for the first time long after it was shot and assembled, have something to do with how bad it is? Bullshit.
Yeah.
Total gaslighting.
I mean, what kind of effect can fans have on something that's been in the can for a year? I mean, remember, Gary, this started out as a movie. This was going to be the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, and then they, relegated it to Disney Plus. And then, like I said, all this stuff happened where they fired the original writer after he'd finished it, and then KK came in, Cray KK came in, and got all these reshoots, and then squished it down to 6 episodes. And I think, personally, from that story, whether it's rumor or what, that he just got pissed off, and when he did the mic drop thing and said, and enjoy episodes 7, 8, and 9, and 10, and then boom, he was gone. I think that was him kind of like, I'm done, I'm out of here. But they've already announced a season 2, right?
I don't know. I didn't hear anything about that. This is the first time I'm hearing that. And you know what? You saying that about the mic drop thing, it kind of puts that video that he shot when he's sitting in his car into a little bit, it makes a little more sense now. Like sort of like you have to go along with this or else. And
hey, maybe I'm breaking a rumor to you.
I don't know, man. I haven't I haven't heard that, but that's very interesting. It puts a different spin on that. I don't know. I don't know how much. It depends on how far they're willing to push this, how insane they're willing to go with whatever their BS narrative is. And it's at a point right now where it's pretty ridiculous. it's pretty darn ridiculous. We look at this and we're like, clearly this is not the case. You people are just insane. So it's just going to get that much more insane, and we're going to be able to diffuse it even quicker. So maybe we are on the downside. That would be really nice.
I hope that it's a light at the end of the tunnel situation, and it's not a political movement that's going to, march on, after we're long dead or whatever. Because, I see the generation of people that are watching movies and television and streaming today, and I'm like, God, they've never seen, a good TV show or a good movie. They're watching all this new stuff and they think it's Star Wars, and it's not.
Yeah, yeah, it's sad.
Just drives me nuts.
It's really sad. But I mean, we're probably in the death throes of this shitty movement. That would really be nice. I'm just, like I said, it's getting more and more ridiculous by the day. And then what Chapek did the other day was pretty ballsy. Getting rid of that.
Tell us about that.
Well, as far as I don't know too much about it, but as far as I heard, he got rid of the content creator, one of the main ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that was, and I heard something about him. The guy's asking, he's like, or Chapek's telling him, look, you're not really helping with the progression of the way we're shaping our narrative and our continuing culture of Disney. And then the guy's like, well, I thought I was that, or something. And he's like, no, you're done. Bye-bye. So that was pretty ballsy, and I think unexpected. So again, I don't know a whole lot about that. I'm not really following that right now, but it sounded to me like that was a major knockout for Chapek. So that, and a major knockout for us. So that's good.
Yeah. As far as knocking that out of the park,
Yep.
I mean, he's what's the saying? Here to chew bubble gum and to kick ass, and I think he's all out of bubble gum. There you go. There's the man himself.
There he is, John Nada.
Rowdy Piper. I love that. I've got the poster.
Yeah, you got
there.
the poster there. Isn't that a great movie?
It is. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's so prescient.
It is. It's super cool. It's just such a super cool, really low budget kind of, made on a shoestring budget, but very creative. John Carpenter was just such a master of kind of the, limited production value kind of films. He was a master anyway. But I mean, this guy would make these really incredible, really haunting, great horror and science fiction. Excuse me, pollen's really bad around here. I absolutely love John Carpenter. He's the man. I really wish he was working more. I wish he was working more often.
And Phantom Boomer mentions that Carpenter's cheap movies were great.
That they were.
One thing I really liked about They Live, I saw it in the theater when it came out, and the bass during the fight scene. First of all, it was like a 15 or a 20-minute fight sequence.
Yep.
With Roddy Piper and what was the other guy's name?
David Keith.
Yeah. And every single, like hit or kick or when they fell down, it was just really boom, boom, bassy. It was the first film I'd ever seen that had all that bass in the fight scene, and now it's like every movie does that.
Oh yeah. And Carpenter was a huge wrestling fan, so he pretty much that scene is, I think it's over 8 minutes long. And they're just beating the crap out of each other, and it's hysterical, but it's really, really great. Sometimes Keith Keith David, that's it. Sometimes I feel like that when I'm trying to explain people that, Star Wars sucks. Put the glasses on. Fuck you.
See the woke.
Yeah. Put them on.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
That's so good.
So another one of the things in your sort of resume here is that after years of collecting props, you started to catalog and restore them. And then you got married, which was a good move, if I may say so.
You may.
And then you met DC and started leaking him info. Now, I know that you have teamed up with Doomcock to expand his channel, and you were invited on Pop Culture Breakdown. Can you tell us a little bit about how that happened?
Well, let's see. What can I tell you? It's been in the works for almost 2 years now. So there's a lot going on that nobody's seen yet, and DC likes to hold on to things. So he likes to keep them close to the vest until he's absolutely ready to release them. He's a hard worker. He wants everything to be great, not just good. He wants it to be great. So sometimes I'm
He
like,
is a
dude,
perfectionist.
I know. Sometimes I'm like, what are you doing? Come on, man, let's get on with this. And he's like, no, it's not ready. It's not ready. And he's
Right.
okay. All right. I'm an artist. I respect that, but he's been working day and night on new characters. And I mean, the universe has expanded, and it's really super cool.
I love the mythology of Xanadu and Harvey Cthulhu and Sabu, and now we have the cursed crystal skull of Calderon, and so he mentions every pop culture breakdown. He mentions that you're the hardest working guy in Section X Studios. What can you tell us about that?
Well,
I know it's on the DL.
oh, well, yeah, I promise. A promise is a promise.
Just between
but,
you and me and the internet.
yeah, right. Well, all of the things that he talks about, you guys are gonna see in a universe, basically. We're gonna see all of this stuff that he's talked about.
So does that mean that you're making props, or you're doing set design, or you're filming videos, or any of that?
He always likes me to put it a certain way, which I'll put it in the way he wants me to say it, which is I've literally been trapped down in Xanadu for 2 years, building his facilities, creating more things for him. And, we set up a production crew down there, and we've been filming all the wonderful things that he's been doing. And he's invited us into Castle Xanadu, and we will be seeing these wonderful, magnificent things. So I probably shouldn't be telling you too much more about it, but that's kind of the way he wants, that's kind of the way I'm presenting it. So, but I guarantee you guys are going to love it. It's going to be great. So much hard work has gone into his channel, and the guy's like a one-man band.
Oh,
he really is. Like, I mean, without the help that he's received, the guy's just done everything he possibly can. He's a hard working guy. He's the hardest working supervillain that the world has ever seen. So
that's true. Yeah,
you guys will not be disappointed with.
I love the mythology. I love the when you're a Patreon subscriber or a channel member, I forget which one, you get bonus content. And he has, commentaries for all these Star Trek episodes. And I really like the ones where it's like from the lair, Harvey Cthulhu from the lair, and he's the one that's doing all the, talking about stuff. It's really cool. I mean, he's a very, very creative guy, and I can't wait to see what you guys are cooking up. Kelvington is amazing. He's a great producer for the Pop Culture Breakdown. But I have to say, what you kind of prepared for me in your bio, was that you were arguably the most toxic, masculine guy on the panel.
Toxic male.
Yeah.
Most obnoxious toxic male.
That's it. Yeah. And I love watching you melt down on Pop Culture Breakdown. And I know that some of that to some degree is acting. But, between you and Doomcock and Mexican Iron Man, just ranting and tearing your hair out, it's fun.
Well, I'm glad you enjoy my pain. It's
Is that what it is?
It may be a little bit of a performance skill, but let me tell you, as a well-trained professional actor, acting isn't always fake, my friend.
That's true.
Sometimes we have to dig, but it's definitely there somewhere. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, when they killed James Bond, boy, that was not acting for me. I was furious.
Yeah.
And to me, I have to laugh, because if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry, man. I'm really, when you guys see me laughing on the channel, I'm drinking champagne because I don't want it to be tears, and
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that these people are doing, that they're destroying this in I mean, I have to find some kind of humor out of it. And I know that you guys kind of agree, but, trust me, there's some pain there, especially with Mike, Mexican Iron Man, is very sensitive to this. I mean, Doom is very, very sensitive to this stuff. We are obnoxious, and we're kind of crude, and I'm kind of crass, but it comes from a real feeling of betrayal,
Yeah.
and
I think it's fucking great,
yeah, I mean, we're taking something that we all feel and turning it into sort of this cathartic kind of way to reach out to all you guys out there who feel the same way, and to try to just make something good out of this.
I think that's a really good way to put it. It is cathartic, and I think a lot of people mistake, those of us in the fandom menace, air quotes, because it's not like, there's a central authority, and, it's just sort of a loosely confederated group of YouTubers. But yeah, I mean, Doomcock started his channel because, like you, he thought he was going insane, that people were, chucking down, this new Trek stuff, and didn't care for canon, didn't really care about storytelling, didn't care about character arcs or conflict and resolution, all that stuff that you need, and that's why he started his channel. And, the one thing that I have to say is thank goodness that they made Star Trek Discovery, because without it, we wouldn't have gotten Doomcock.
Right. Yeah. Necessary evil, right?
He's really into Star Trek, as am I, and you are. And Mexican Iron Man, Mike, is really into Star Wars. And as we see these different franchises, disintegrate, like what they've done to Doctor Who. I'm a massive Whovian. Anybody that knows me will tell you that. And I have been since I was like 15 or 14. I grew up on Tom Baker and the really good old stuff.
Yeah.
And watching what they're doing, with the woke agenda, the woke-tivists, it does drive you nuts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's meant to. I really believe that. I agree. I mean, this is calculated destruction to me. I don't see it any other way. You cannot mistakenly destroy this so well, like they're doing. You can't. It's on purpose, And if we look through history, this is not the first time this has happened. The destruction of many people's cultures and their myths is just part of breaking down a people and a society. And that's, DC and I used to have conversations about this a long time ago. And there was a point where he told me, he's like, I don't know, is that really a thing? I said, I believe it is. And then, he started telling me, I've been thinking a lot about this. Yeah, you're right. This is intentional. And I'm like, yes, you're waking up, man. I mean, you're waking up all kinds of people, and it's this is the only way to positively go about it, is to have a show and to talk about this stuff. Because if we don't, one day we'll either accept it, or we just won't be paying attention anymore. And we have to keep talking about it. And that's one of the things that I don't want to watch this new Star Trek. I don't want to watch Obi-Wan. I kind of have to now. I used to be the guy watching Doom and hear him talk about it, so I didn't have to watch it. And I was very thankful for that.
Yeah.
But now, I'm on the Sunday show, so I have to watch this stuff. I have to have an opinion on it, because I got to say the things that I see. And they have to be said. And as much as I hate it, as much as I dislike having to go through it and to do it, it just has to be done. and
And
it
and
has
it
to be
does save
done.
us all a lot of pain and anguish.
I know, I don't like the fact that, I kind of think that it's like, I don't like telling people not to watch something. I like people to watch it, and, because you never know what you're going to like. If I'm wrong, I want to know.
Yeah.
I talked to a panel member on a show the other, a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, well, okay. He's like, well, that's just my opinion. Well, why? Why is that your opinion?
Hmm.
And got all mad and then just left. And I'm like, well, buddy, you're on the show. You have to tell people why you can have that opinion. It's not a
Yeah.
problem.
If you can't
But you
support
need to
your
tell people
opinion,
why, because, and the reason, I didn't get to finish because he left, but I'm like, look, the reason why I'm asking you why is because, one, I consider you a respected person, an individual on the panel along with us, and I want to know if I'm wrong, because I'll learn something about myself if I'm wrong. And if you're wrong, well, then you're wrong. But, it's all for the betterment of, finding out what the truth is, which is really what our end goal is. And no matter how painful it is, we have to do it. We have to do it.
yeah. And it's interesting because from a audience member perspective, I mean, I've been on the show once for a spotlight on the creator, type thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know that it would be appropriate for me to be on the, with all of you guys. But one of the things that's really fun for me is to watch each of you sort of melt down in your own way and contribute. And then, it goes to Douglas Nelson, and he kind of brings everybody back up because he's bubbly and fun. And I think of him as a comedian, He does a
Doug,
podcast and he does, he's great comic books and
oh yeah,
podcast, everything, and the drawings that he does that Kelvington incorporates into the shows are just great. I mean, it's a really well put together show.
oh yeah, I agree. That's all due to Doom and Kelvington.
Yeah,
And Doug is an enormous talent.
yes, he is.
He's so talented. The interesting thing is, we've got a panel of guys that are actually artists and creators. We make stuff. We don't just sit around and bitch about things. We know
Yeah,
a lot about making content, and not just content. We know a lot about making good content. And we've all been involved in making good content. If you guys had any idea the resume of Kelvington, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, there are things that this guy has done. You guys would be like, oh, whoa. Blows all of us off the charts as far as the things that we've done. Kelvington is a seasoned veteran of film and television. The guy's worked for pretty much everybody in the business, and he's very talented and very funny. But his opinion is, I value his opinion greatly. I
I do
bounce
too.
things off of him all the time. So it really is I think it's a refined panel of guys who really have a lot to say, and not just, some snarky comment and, a gimmick. Really,
Hmm.
there's a lot of richness and heart to that show, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're on it too because like I said, Doomcock will bring out a topic, and everybody will have their own say about it, and come to you and blow you up full screen, and you're in full rant mode. You've got your not the Erlenmeyer flask, but the stem for your champagne.
Right. Yeah.
What is
The
that called?
beaker.
The beaker. Yeah,
Yeah, I got a beaker. Yeah.
that's a really fun to see you drinking champagne out of that. But then
Right.
you just kind of lose your mind, and you're like, oh,
Oh
I can see
yeah.
your face get red, and I'm like, does he have a red light on him? You know,
Nope, that's me.
you just kind of breaking down, and
Oh yeah.
and then it goes back around, and you talk about different subjects, and it's really interesting for me because, like I said, as an audience member, I get to see the different perspectives and different things that bother different people on the panel. And like you said, it's all people that know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
Creators, writers. You and Kelvington, and yeah, he's super talented and has done a bunch of stuff. Everybody on the panel has, and it's just really interesting to see everybody go around and get different sort of tidbits of rage
Right.
from everybody on the panel.
Well, yeah, and the rage again is a byproduct of how we really feel about it. It's not done for theatrics.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's legit and it's founded. There's there's definitely a means to why we are so upset. But yeah, it gets a little out of hand sometimes. But we gotta ham it up sometime because I want people to laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All this
And it is
depressing
fun.
shit. We have to have people laughing in the chat at least.
It is a lot of fun, and it never fails to make me laugh.
Good.
One thing that Canadian Spider-Man said, discussion is the only way forward. And I
Yeah.
think that's very true. Um, and I think, to be honest, one of the best shows on YouTube. I look forward to it every week, and I noticed that, the number of people in the audience is getting up to like 15, 1600, a show.
Live. Yeah.
And yeah, live. And Friday Night Frolics is kind of around 450, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's a totally different thing where he's a one man show, like you were saying,
Yeah.
sings and does impressions and
Works his ass off.
Yeah, and he that's a lot of fun too. But that's a different thing if you're into the celebrity auditions for Hal or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like a variety show. It's kind of like an old time radio show. That's what I think is so brilliant about it. It's
Yeah,
kind of
very
this,
much
he's
so.
got this really classy kind of take on things. The music that he sings, he's a magnificent singer. He's got a great voice. And, he's kind of he's a guy that's kind of caught out of his time, but we desperately need him. You know what I mean? Like that's how I see him. And the guy's got a massive heart.
Yeah.
Massive heart. I mean, any other show that you go to, do they even read the super chats? Do they care? I don't think so.
Some of the bigger ones don't even acknowledge that.
This guy straight up, he will not let us leave the show until he reads all of them. And I'm like,
Yep.
All right, I'm here. I'm sticking it out, and I find that very commendable. I agree. I would do the same thing because everybody that's watching the show, they could be somewhere else, and these folks, they adore him.
On a Friday night, no less.
It could be anywhere else. And he cares so much about the people in his chat. He's got such a big heart. I'll always remember, I used to casually listen to his show. I may have mentioned this before, but it's so poignant to me that I'm going to mention it again. I was casually listening to his show while I was doing work and stuff in the background. And I remember one night somebody had super chatted in that their brother had died or something like that. It was a really tragic thing. It was not expected. The guy wasn't ill or anything. I think the guy died in an accident or something like that. And he stopped the chat. He stopped the whole show. And he said, guys, I really wanted, if you could just take a moment of silence, let's, say a little prayer and put the guy's name in the chat. And, you could watch hundreds of people are putting, the guy's name in the chat. And I just thought, wow, what an amazing thing to do for somebody who really needed him in that moment. He was there for that person. And I was like, dude, that guy's cool. This guy's really cool. This guy cares about people. He cares about his art. He cares about his fans. And, I think some people have treated him pretty poorly in our community. Some of the other guys on other channels. But you know what? He keeps pushing through. He doesn't compromise his content, and I'm proud to be.
You're referring to.
I'm proud to. I'm not necessarily referring to anybody specifically, but you know,
could be one or two people.
Maybe sort of. I don't know. Maybe, but but I'll always support him no matter what. And he brought me to this show, and I thank him for that. And I've been excited. I've taken the opportunity to do the stuff that I'm doing for him right now. And I really love that. I enjoy it. I haven't worked on a movie in a little while. Life kind of, finds a way of taking over your plans. You get married and, things happen. So, but now I really found a new home in this community. And I will say this, the interactions I've had with you and with other guys on other channels, other folks, and then with the wrenches and the chats, you guys are much better people than everybody I ever met in Hollywood. Anybody I've ever worked with, it's not like one of my 3 best friends in the whole world. You guys are so much better than any of these people. And I'm so happy to be welcomed into this community and to be a part of it and to just know all you guys out there. So thank you for that. I love sharing my stuff with you guys. I love that you guys love Star Trek stuff. And if I have it, I'll throw it in the mail for you or whatever. I love it so much. I'm very thankful to be a part of this community. So thank you.
I was going to see if I could find one of the things that I was sent. I don't know that I have it here, or if I can find it. And I'm just going to let everybody know because I can't find it. But I have a treasured Doomcock ring. Not a Doomcock ring, but a Doomcock ring.
I got you. I'm
I
sure you have
can't find it
both
at the moment, but here it is.
Here, I'm going to heat mine up. I got to charge mine.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. It glows in the dark, huh?
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, baby. Hail
That's
the
great.
Dementites and Archvillains.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is too cool.
Yeah, part of the super secret boy band. Whoops, wrong light.
That's right.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, he really does spend time with people, and he does care. He's got a big heart. During the Friday Night Frolics, if somebody says, "Oh, my dog died," or I lost my father a year ago or 12 years ago today or whatever, he'll sing all those songs, and yeah, it's just amazing for all the people that call him out and call us ists and phobes and everything. They have no idea. If they would just watch one Friday Night Frolics, they would be like, oh, I totally had the wrong idea about this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys are saying some very nice stuff. Thank you. And Anti-Derivative Jill, we love you.
Yes, we
you've
do.
been invited on the show, so might want to reconsider just visiting us for the old creator spotlight or something, because we'd love to have you on. We had Maria on the other night, and that was great. That was great. Nice having.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it's nice having lovely ladies on the show because
I encouraged her to go on.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that she did. I bet it was great.
It's good for me too because it forces me to behave myself and not say so many naughty potty language words,
Yeah. Before we close up, I was wondering if I could ask you to kind of take us through some of the things that you have behind you.
Sure, yeah. Let's see. Well, let's see. I guess we'll start with this. I'll start with the stuff that's I'll have to take it all down in order to show you. This is a casting of the stanchion from the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland.
Wow.
I was going to showcase this more, but I got it, and then all this bad news came out about Disney, and I was kind of like, I'll leave it in the background. But I love the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. It's one of my favorite things.
I've never been to Disneyland, but I've always heard that their haunted house is amazing.
Oh, it's so much fun, Gil.
And I do a yard display for every Halloween. I've been doing it since 1983, and just adding more moving parts and lights and stuff to it. And I've always wanted to go because I've heard that it was great.
In my opinion, it kind of set the precedent for, things like Tim Burton's, movies. And the artists were all, I believe, Walt Disney hired Mexican artists who were kind of putting in this Day of the Dead kind of art. It was kind of styled after that. And, it's just incredible. I really, really, really love that style. It's been copied many, many times, but you got to check out. I believe it's still original too, Gil. It's pretty close to the original from the 60s whenever it did come out. So if you get a chance, you got to check it out.
Definitely.
Let's see. What do we have here? I think I have. Let's see. We have casting. This is a reproduction of the ashtray from Creepshow,
Right.
or a casting of it, actually.
Yeah.
I sent you one of these. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been looking for that prop for years. I love that movie. Let's see.
Yeah, me too. I
don't
even
know if
got Creepshow 2 on 4K.
Really? Is it good?
Yep. Yeah, it's great.
I don't know if you recognize this.
Not exactly.
This is the dagger of Megiddo from The Omen.
Oh my God.
And
that is so
if you
cool.
see, it's got a Trinity blade. It's a triangular blade. And I love this. This is
and there were 7 of those.
There were 7. And I got a casting, and I did this one in bronze. So this is a legitimate dagger.
Wow.
The triangular blade is actually it's actually a triangular file that's been grinded down into a dagger.
Interesting.
I love this prop. One of my favorites.
How hard would it be for you to make a total of 7 of those and like exhibit them as a set?
Well, you know, we used to have a bronze forge here in Monterey, so I could turn these things in and have them done in 2 weeks.
Oh, I see.
But that's gone now, so now it's very difficult. I could do a resin casting ones all day long. That's easy. Yeah. But to really have the bronze, to have a real dagger, that's a lot of work. This
John
is
Rendell says Pukenhagen's knives.
Pukenhagen's? What's that?
I think it's Buchenhagen. I think.
Oh,
from
Buchenhagen. I don't know that. So here's my very accurate replica of One-Eyed Willie.
Wow.
Really like incredibly detailed replica of. Whoops, wrong eye. Here we go. If you can see that there.
Oh wow.
But the patch, I used to make patches for the. I have a photocopy of the original patch for the prop, and I was able to just reproduce all the little jewels.
It's really nice.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah,
that's great.
I'm thinking about doing, kind of like a, how you do your giveaway. I'm thinking about doing a prop giveaway every once in a while on the Sunday show. And I might start doing things like, Willie's patch or, something like that. Let's see. You've already displayed the Thulsa Doom medallion. This is pretty cool. This is a scan of. Let's see if I can get that. There we go.
Yep.
This is a scan of Martin Cove's actual copy of his own photo that he has. This is personal copy. So I got a scan of that. It's so popular nowadays. Cobra Kai. Let's see. For those of you who haven't seen this I am very proud of, because this is the only existing full set of treasure from the Goonies.
Wow.
And I'm will
totally
be
geeking out, man.
Yeah, I will actually be donating this to the Astoria Film Museum.
Wow.
As soon as I can get up there. In exchange for I don't know, I'll make some ridiculous demand, like, maybe I get to hold the real props, those stuff or something. But
give me a tricorder.
Right. No, I'll put it. I'm gonna definitely donate that set to them, because I think that if anybody should have it, they should have it. They have all the rest of the stuff there, but they do not have any treasure. If none.
And look who's in the chat. Bunny Mom Ambrosia.
Good timing. We stopped talking trash, didn't we? Right.
We did.
We're not saying anything bad. Okay.
Now we're just talking about movies and props and stuff like that. But I'm a big Bunny Mom Ambrosia fan as well. I see. I think you have a Shankara stone back there.
I do. Yeah, that's a reproduction. It's really a nice one, though.
And then is the thing next to that one of the communicators from Galaxy Quest?
It is. Let's see here. But I did. This was, I think it's the, I think it was the model kit or something. But let me see if I can get it to warm up here. It actually is. It has the little Tesla coil disc in it,
Mm-hmm.
and if I can get it to warm up, I will show you. But yeah, the Vox communicator.
Right.
That's it. I
That's
don't know
really
if I can get
cool.
it to work. Maybe the batteries might be.
Did you make
There
that?
it is. There we go.
Wow. Did you make that?
I did. Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's pretty neat, huh?
That's amazing work,
Yeah.
Gary.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is really cool.
Yeah. The old Vox communicator. Yeah. Ark of the
And you have
Covenant
the head of
cherub
the
up there.
staff of Ra.
I do. Oops. Hello. It's hard grabbing this stuff with one hand off the shelf.
Yeah, I bet.
But okay, so this is. So there were two different ones. There's
Mhm.
one that they used on location in, where were they, in Tunisia,
Mhm.
and then there's one that they used at the at Elstree Studios in England.
Right.
And this one is the one that Marion is wearing around her neck, and also the one that's used in the map room.
Right.
But I have another one. I don't know where it is. I have another one that has the writing on it, and the guy that's translating it, flips it around and reads it to him. But it's actually a different headpiece. Those are both castings of the original headpieces.
And yeah, I remember the Nazi, had it melted onto his hand,
right,
and didn't have the other side, which said "and remove 2 units."
Right.
And so they were looking in the wrong place.
They're digging in the wrong place.
They're digging in the wrong place, Indy. Indy, they're digging in the wrong place. I am master of the sea. That was such a great movie.
It's the best, man.
I can't stand what they're doing to Indy 5.
No, I don't know what's going on with that, but we'll see. We'll see, man.
I mean, according to the rumors, old Indy goes back in time, and young Indy and old Indy get into a fight and kill each other. And Phoebe Walker-Bridge walks over and grabs the fedora and puts it on, and she's Indiana Jones.
Fleabag Jones.
Yeah. I can't believe that. I mean, if they do that, I mean, KK's in charge of it, so of course they're going to do that. There are 3 Indy Jones films.
There are.
Yeah,
3
there
good
should
ones.
never be an Indy 5. That's right.
There shouldn't.
And I'll tell you something, just from my personal bitch bag, if I can use that colloquialism, I really thought that having John Hurt through the entire 4th movie with no dialogue was such a waste of such an incredible actor.
I agree.
Just fucking dumb.
I agree. There were way too many sidekicks in that movie. It was just like it felt like it's a mad world or something. It didn't feel like Indiana Jones. It just felt like, shenanigans. Just really, really, really bad.
Well, I would like to start to wrap up here. First, I would ask everybody to please subscribe. If you're subscribed, make sure you hit that notification bell, because sometimes YouTube just unsubscribes people. I had a friend that I didn't even know watched my channel, and he said during a live stream one night, several months ago, he saw like 20 viewers just go away during a live stream. And I can't afford to lose 20 people during a stream, Today that would leave me with 3 at the moment.
Boy.
Yeah, YouTube does some nefarious stuff.
I was gonna say, Gil, what'd you do? Get up and moon the camera or something?
No, I just just it happens.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, douchebag Kylo. I thought that I read that like Picard's "There are 4 lights." Antiderivative Jill says, I basically don't get notifications unless I hit the bell. It's a vital feature. Yep. And Canadian Spider-Man says, thanks for agreeing to do this, Gary.
It's my pleasure.
I, of course, am very grateful for you doing the show. And as we are getting ready to go out, what are some of the things that you would like to plug?
Well, again, if you guys could visit my wife's bunnytrailrescue.com, the rabbit rescue, that would be great. It means the world to me. She means the world to me. That's all her work. She works hard for that. It's hard to keep all those little critters healthy and happy. So, if you got $1 or $2 to spare, she could always use the donation. But really, at least if you could just check it out and, visit the site, that would mean a lot to me. And also check out the Sunday show, Pop Culture Breakdown with Dictor Van Doomcock and the rest of us obnoxious, toxic males on the panel. But I am the most obnoxious.
The most obnoxious.
I shall always hold that title. I am the most obnoxious, and I'm
the
very
most
proud of
toxic.
You bet.
And Jill has helped me with the URL there.
Thank you, Jill.
And thank you, John Rendell. I appreciate that feedback.
Hail, Brother
great.
John.
Yeah. It's always good to see him here.
Mm-hmm.
Bunny Mom Ambrosia says, Cardinal Sin, I get to pick up a little 3-week-old bunny tomorrow morning. I'll send you photos in the morning. Oh, thank you. I'm so jealous because I really want to have a house rabbit, but I have drum set in the house and I have an electric guitar in the house, and you can't do that. So
nope.
What I do is I just kind of adopt one of hers, and she sends me videos and photos, and they're so cute. I just can't even stand it. Very sweet. So, what's in the future for Gary Ambrosia?
Well, if I can ever make it out of Xanadu, I'll let you know, buddy. I am locked away, and our Lord Doomcock only lets me out occasionally. No, I've got
Xanadu, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm dedicated to this right now because I'm going to see it through to the end. But I've got a lot of projects going on, and I got a great crew now. I've got a great we've got a great production warehouse. We've got all kinds of stuff going. So there's going to be good stuff coming, a whole lot. I've got a lot of projects, a lot of things that I've wanted to finish, a lot of things that I've started, wanted to finish, a lot of things that I haven't started yet. So, man, I am so busy. I can't even, I don't get sleep. I don't get any sleep, but loving every minute of it, because if you do what you love, then you are truly blessed.
That's true. That's true. Do you plan on getting back into, directing, acting on a higher level again?
Sure. Yeah. I'll always do my own stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, who knows, if this woke bullshit never ends, I may never get another job, but content. I'm going to double down on the fact that it will end. So, and if it does, boy, I won't have any problem, so
absolutely.
We'll see, but I'll never stop doing my own stuff ever.
Well, there are a lot of complimentary comments in the chat, and I have to echo them all. I think that you are an incredibly smart, funny, creative guy, and I have no idea all the stuff that you get up to. But the stuff that I do know that you get up to, I have to say I really respect, Gary. You're kind of one of my heroes.
Thanks, man.
You
guys are saying so much nice stuff about me. Wow. See, I'm totally blessed to be a part of this community. I really am.
It's a great community, and when I find myself in the Pop Culture Breakdown or the Friday Night Frolics, it is my tribe. Those are my friends. That's my family.
I agree.
There's nobody in there that wouldn't go out of their way to help me out if I needed it.
I totally agree with you, man.
And I think it's one of the best communities on YouTube. And Darius mentions, don't forget classy. Gary Ambrosia is a very classy guy,
You know.
So, and Canadian Spider-Man says, we'll always support a guy like Gary. So, that's probably enough adoration for,
Oh man,
for one
that's
show, right?
boy. My heart's melting here, man. You guys are
Anymore,
great.
your head's going to get too big.
Right?
Or
No,
too
that's
much
impossible. It's pretty
Yeah.
damn big. Physically and mentally.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Gary, for spending time with us and telling us your secrets and answering all my silly questions. And thanks for being on my stupid little show. I really
Hey,
appreciate
man.
it.
If your show was stupid and little, I wouldn't be on it.
Well,
So
thank
your
you.
show's cool, man. Your
That's very
show's
nice of you
cool.
to say.
Your people are cool. Everybody here they're super cool, and I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored to have been here, and for you guys to listen to me, a schmuck like me. So
Well,
thank you.
I tell you what, Andy Masterson says Gary belches in the private chat.
That I do. I was yelled at. I was told, don't belch on the chat or don't belch in the panel. This is not Howard Stern. Were the
Right.
exact words that were told by the producers. So I
bet I know who said that too.
Yes.
But again, thanks very much. I hope that we can have you back. Have you had any paranormal experiences?
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe we can get you on Into the Fringe sometime.
That works.
And talk about that, because I bet between the two of us we could talk up a storm.
I have video evidence as well that I've never released. Oh yeah.
Wow. Cool.
So,
Well,
and
hey man, that's a date. We'll schedule that right now.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right, man. Well, thanks again, and I'll let you go. And it's Cardinal Sin out.